cancer survivor on the planet, Lance Armstrong. So, why New York City?
How's it going?
Alright. I mean, there's a lot of marathons, there's a lot of other cities, a lot of other places we can run. Why New York?
Well, I just fit in the schedule. No, I'm just kidding. You know, it's interesting because as a Texan or as somebody from the South, there's always this rivalry between the North and the South, but I've always been really welcome here in the city, and this was always the first place that we would come after winning a tour. So you'd come here and you'd do the shows, the morning shows, do Letterman, but just the people on the street were always so cool, and seemed to really be paying attention to a sport that was really ignored for a long time. So, and then the fact that you have 37,000 people running, arguably the greatest marathon in the world, you know, was a good one to start with.
Yeah.
And end with. The first two runners, so I've been really lucky to have a relationship like I have with Nike, but then they always, I mean, obviously the idea of giving us 5 million yellow wristbands was a blessing, but then, you know, then for tomorrow they said, well, we'll give you some pace setters for the marathon, which not many people have outside of their own pace that they set themselves. But for you young guys, you may not know these names, but the first pace setter is arguably one of the best American marathon runners ever, a guy named Alberto Salazar.
Yeah.
He's like, who's that?
Got on their shirt. Oh, there we go. Run like Salazar.
There you go. See, he won New York 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second pace setter is Joni Benoit Samuelson.
Yeah.
So Alberto's 0 to 10, and Joni's 10 to 20, and then from 20 to the finish is a Moroccan runner by the name of Hicham El Guerrouj, which is, in my opinion and many people's opinion, is the greatest middle distance runner of all time. He won everything his entire career, set every world record. The one thing he never won was the Olympic Games until Athens, when it was really his last opportunity. He was getting older, he was going to retire, and it was his dream to win the Olympics. And this is right when the yellow band fever was really starting to roll. And somebody, in fact, John Capriati, I think he's here somewhere, sort of twisted his arm and asked him to wear this little piece of yellow rubber. But at the time, it was significant for me, but not only because I was a fan of running, but because El Guerrouj is a Muslim. And in 2004, there was this huge, obviously still a ton of controversy behind the West and behind the Middle East and what that all stands for. But he put all of that aside, wore the yellow wristband as a Muslim, arguably the most famous Muslim athlete in the Olympic Games, crosses the finish line after finally winning Olympic gold. He's down on the ground praying with his arms that are about as big as a pencil. And all you see is this yellow wristband, and he won 2 golds. But it was, for me, it was very profound, and for me, it was the tipping point for the yellow bands. And so I think he took the conflict around the world and ignored it, and wore a symbol of hope. Well, I have to finish. I'd be happy breaking 3 hours, honestly. I mean, I have not.
The big normal one. Yeah, it's so different than cycling, as you said. It's just a lot of pounding and a lot of pressure on the joints. But you know,
I know it's most people when they get older they go from running into cycling, whereas I've gone because of the pounding and the nagging injuries. You guys will figure this out later. But I've gone the opposite way. I've gone from cycling into running, and I've paid the price. I mean, it's although I ran when I was younger, running has been tough. The transition's been tough, and little hip flexor problems here or there. Now the shin splints. But those are things that we all have to deal with. It's not one of bad leadership. It's an issue of complacency. and it's an old disease, and people are used to cancer, whereas they're not. We couldn't have been used to what happened on 9/11, but it was because it was so shocking to us. But the disease is one of these things that's, again, it's passé, and it's our job to make it an issue again. So that's the focus. But you see how significant the numbers are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Run with some cool people. Sometimes a couple times we've been caught and passed by the Columbia University cross-country team. One day we were catching this guy who was wearing a yellow band, and I thought this was kind of cool. This is this old guy wearing a yellow band.
Old is relative.
Yeah, it's relative. It was Senator Edwards, who I thought was pretty cool. Running completely alone in Central Park, and hard to imagine that just two. Can I get back down that hill? I was, right now,
I mean, let's think about it.
I would say, if I could have lunch with anybody, I would have lunch with my mom. She's my closest friend, but that's not what you want to hear. I would have lunch today with Steve Prefontaine.
Yeah.
And obviously I didn't know him, but